Shalom, family. This is going to be another episode in the Woman Thou Art Bound series. My apologies for recording in my house coat. It's a little bit chilly in the house today, so forgive me for that. But anyway, we're going to be talking about operating from a position of fear. Okay. In the last video, we talked about operating from a position of hurt. But if we're governed by fear, it can actually chew away at our strength. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And it's going to be very quick and brief too. Many times there are things that happen in our lives that cause us to fear. And with that fear comes reactions that we wouldn't normally do if things were more clear to us, or if things were more easygoing in our lives. Sometimes fear causes you to move too quickly or to move too slowly. And so there's always this thing of balance where you have to kind of slow down a bit just to think things out. Fear is one of those things that causes anxiety, and that anxiety causes you to be anxious. You know, sometimes my husband talks about me being anxious, okay, in certain things that I do, wanting to move kind of quick on some things. Now, there is a difference when you're operating in fear or excitement. Okay, there's a difference in the two. Sometimes out of excitement, I might want to move fast on some things, but sometimes out of fear, I might want to move fast on some things too. I've been in both places. Now, that fear can be a dangerous thing when you're trying to navigate through this life. Not saying that there's nothing to fear out here, because we as so-called black people, when we look about in the world, there are some things going on that we have no clue what the outcome is going to be. Especially when you look at the economy, a lot of people are losing their jobs, losing their homes, losing just a lot of things, you know, cars, their ability to earn an income. And people are literally being thrust into impossible situations, or what appears to be impossible situations. Now, the reason why it weighs so heavy on us as a people is this thing called lack of cohesion. Because we have this inability to work together, it causes us to be out here kind of like alone. We gave an illustration a few years back of how there's a protection mechanism. When you look in the animal kingdom, when there's an infant born in certain herds of animals, it doesn't matter who the mother is, there's a wall of protection around that infant, right? To where all the adults, if there's a predator around that's trying to get to the small ones because they know they can't get the big ones, right? All of the mothers will surround that baby to keep the predator from getting that baby, because they know that the animal or the creature can't take them down, but that they're going to go for the weakest, right? And so that's the same with us as so-called women. Because there's been a separation between us and our men, a lot of our women are out here on their own. And so the predators are using them as prey and going after them for various reasons. I'm reminded of a sister we know whose husband passed away. Now, when he passed away, they had quite a bit together. They had a few businesses, they owned a few properties, and they were pretty well off. And when her husband passed away, it was a very sad moment for her, but it was also a very frightening moment, because she said that even the city that they live in was, you know, they were a certain way when her husband was around, but then when her husband passed away, they changed. They started to, you know, come after her for things that they wouldn't have come after her for before. And then she was worried about people breaking in on her, and, you know, just a number of different things just brought fear to her, because she was alone now, you see. So that operation of fear sometimes can cause you to do things that are not good for you per se, because you're out there as prey when you're out there alone. And so that's the position that many of our sisters find themselves in. And so I do believe that a support mechanism should be in place. Unfortunately, because again, the wedge that has been driven between the black man and the black woman has caused the black man to turn away and not even care about our sisters who are out here in need. Now, in one of our series, I'm going to talk about some dialogue that I saw between some people in Africa and some African Americans. It was deep, okay? The dialogue was very deep. And I'm going to tell you right now, the so-called Africans were tearing into the African Americans. That's all I'm going to say on that right now, because I want to cover this in depth. But they have a total different perspective on how they deal with each other over there than how we deal with each other over here. Like I said, that's going to be a whole other subject that I will talk about. But we got some fixing to do over here, people. We have got some fixing to do. And the first thing you want to fix is you. Okay? You can look outside of yourself and say, oh, our men need to get themselves together, or our women need to get themselves together. That's the other pointing the finger in the other direction, right? But until every last one of us start pointing the finger at our own selves, you see, instead of at the other person, until we start pointing the finger at our own selves, we are going to continue to run around in circles. Have you ever seen a dog chasing his tail? If you've ever seen a dog chasing his tail, do he ever catch it? No, he never catches it. Every so often, they'll catch it and bite it a little bit, but the tail still gets away from it, right? Okay, now I'm just being silly right there with that one. But I'm just trying to make a point that there is no catching up to that tail for that dog. As long as you're running in circles, that's what we're doing. As long as we're pointing the finger back and forth at each other, we will never fix what's going on with us. And I will say this one last thing. I know I said I wasn't going to really talk about this African thing, what they were saying. But I have to say this part. They were basically saying, don't say nothing about what we need to fix over here until you so-called African Americans fix yourselves, because people around the world are laughing at you. Okay, as I read through that dialogue, it was tripped out. Okay, like I said, I'm going to cover it. I'm probably going to read some of the comments as well, because it's really deep how other so-called black people in the world look at us like we a whole other specimen over here, a whole other creature. Now that is bad. That is bad. So that right there tells you that we have some fixing to do, and I'm going to be talking to the sisters about what we need to fix. Okay, me and my husband together, we do the marriage series, and we talk about other issues dealing with the men of Judah, because there is something that they must do. But if they are refusing to do it, the Most High is going to deal with them. But we as women too, if we refuse to do our part, we are going to feel the judgment from that too. And our judgment is going to be different than the judgment of the men. And we have got to come to terms with the fact that we as women have failed tremendously as well. Okay? Now, there are roots to all of our problems. I do realize this. There are roots to every last problem that we have. Okay? And it is rooted and grounded in things that happened in the past. Okay? But what we've got to learn to do is look at the past and learn from it. I don't think we should forget the past. And I don't think that we should leave the past in the past. You learn from the past. You have all these cliches going about forgetting about the past and all this, that, and the other. No, you don't forget about it. You grow from it by changing what you can in the here and now and in the future. You change what you can. And so that is the goal with this Woman Thou Art Bound series, is to help us all to heal. Like I said before, I'm going to be sharing some of my hurts that I have gone through. And I would like as many of you as possible who would like to share as well, to do that so that you could learn the process of healing. And I will say this, it ain't always easy. Everyone is not the same. I said that before too. We are not all the same. Some people can bounce back real fast from things. Others need a little bit more time. But when you get into a situation where time is not on your hands, where the enemy is hot on all of our trails, then you say, well, you know what? I know I'm hurting from this, but I see the enemy is gaining on me. So I got to pick up my pace. I got to heal from this, and I got to move on, because I have children that are depending on me. With that, I'm going to say I love you, sisters, and shalom. Enjoy the rest of your day.